What is the one thing that builds or destroys relationships every single day, and very few of us actually notice? Welcome to Decoded by LWK. This is a series in which we are going to discuss one main idea. Great relationships aren't luck, they are a skill, and that skill is learnable. And later, also in this series, we will talk about the methods, ideas, principles that make or break great relationships. Which relationships? Not only the romantic one. Sometimes it is with spicy spouse, our spouses, or other loved ones. It can be with the family. It can be within the work relationships. It can be with your colleagues, co-workers, and so on. Any relationship basically is based on some very common idea, no common, like the same ideas. And once we actually capture them, we can of course then develop the specificities of some particular relationships. And this is what we are going to talk about. Because as Tony Robbins, one of my dear teachers, often says, the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the relationships in our lives. This is something which I actually dedicated my life to. This is something I have been doing professionally and also privately. My name is Lucia Wolf Klapacova, if you do not know me, and I have been professionally dealing with the relationships for almost 25 years now, in different provisions in different areas. If you want more about my bio, go to LinkedIn, you can find everything. But it was like the high pitch, high level political life of prime ministers, foreign ministers, international conflicts from Central Asia, the Balkans, Armenia, Caucasus, and all these other places. I was part of the leadership of the country, and Slovakia. I'm coming from Slovakia. And later, once I decided, like, hey, I love political life, I love international politics, I love all that, but hey, it's time to focus on my own, it was like 7 years ago. I started to do two things, to build my own marriage and to build my own company. So in my company, Relationships by LWK, we are dealing mostly with relationships, advice to mostly women, not entirely, but mostly skilled, successful women of the world today, who have everything but the fulfilling life and relationships. So this is what we focus on. And I'm also author of the best-selling book, Courageous Women. It is just now being translated also in English, will be available soon, which was also awarded by Pantaray book company here in my country. But back to the topic. This is why Decoded exists, and this is the first episode. That's why I took a little more time for introduction. Don't worry, it will not be part of the next sessions. Decoded exists because we wanted to decode into detail how great relationships are done and how we can all learn those skills too, if we want to, of course. It's not mandatory, but it's useful. So today, main idea for this first episode, which I chose, is about something which happens every single day to each of us, but only few of us actually notice. And however, once we actually start noticing that particular thing, we will see how our relationships start to change. And it will not be the surprise that we actually start with ourselves, because really every relationship, if we want it to be good, and again, it doesn't matter if it's romantic or work, professional, whatever it is, start with us. We ourselves are the base, are the stepping stone, the most important part of any relationships with anybody else. And all the relationships which we have in our lives, or we don't have, are a reflection of us. And each of the episode will have a quote which I will want to decode. And today's quote is the last moment when I actually heard this principle I want to discuss explained really beautifully. And it was an interview between Jay Shetty and, wait for it, Madonna. Yeah, the singer. Jay Shetty, for those who might not know, is today one of the world's best known podcast host and author in the field of personal growth. Before becoming a podcaster, Jay spent several years living as a monk. Today, he speaks with people from many different fields about psychology, relationships, spirituality, human behavior. Basically, he's number one in the world currently. I think he's gonna have his own show on Netflix or Amazon or whatever. But Jay is great. He's from UK. And Madonna, I don't really think we need to introduce her. Lately, I don't know, some time ago, when I was preparing music for my live events, because we work a lot with the body, with music, with the emotions and everything. I was using something from Ozzy Osbourne, and I went to Spotify, like just to check, like, who is Ozzy? And it was written like, hey, if you do not know who Ozzy Osbourne is, which rock have you been living under? So I suppose I will use this here. If you don't know who Madonna is, I really don't know. But anyway, she is one of the most influential artists of the several decades, actually, if not one of the most influential. But what interested me in this interview was not her as an artist, but her as a person, as a human being who has spoken, I guess for the very first time, so openly about her mind, about her spiritual life, about the principles she brought to her life from Kabbalah, from other teachings. And what she said, and this is the substance, for it was like more than 2 hours long interview where Jaden later brought even her teacher into that. However, what she said, we live in a world, now I'm quoting, we live in a world that's just distraction. It's so easy to get distracted, so easy to get pulled off the track. And then she continues, I got caught by the seed of doubt and self-judgment and comparing, and I'm not good enough. Therefore, I'm going to be in a bad mood, or I'm going to shout at my child, and it takes so many different forms. And finally, the greatest thing in the world is to be able to stop yourself before that happens, but it does require constant vigilance. That much, Madonna. Don't worry, I will link the interview if you want to watch the full one. It's on YouTube. I will link it then under this episode. So let's decode it. And when I heard this, I immediately thought, yes, this is exactly what happens all the time. The process, which starts with a thought, and then the thought creates the feeling, and then feeling changes the way we approach the other people. And very often, the most often, we do not even notice we do not even notice this is happening. And it is happening. It is happening daily because, yeah, that's how the emotion actually work. They're created, most of it, not all of it, but most of them created by our minds, but we'll talk and then realize and materialize in the body. But we'll talk about that at a time. It's beautiful, amazing, beloved topic of mine, like emotions and mind and all this holistic approach to how we actually function physically as well. However, let's go back to this, what Madonna say, and let me give you 2 examples. I'll start with an example of a man. Let's say it's Monday morning, and he wakes up and he's already thinking about the work. Let's say, I don't know, like he works in a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as I did, and we have a meeting with the boss, with the minister, first thing in a Monday morning, and he needs to prepare for it. Whatever, it can be meeting with his boss, or maybe he's the boss, or meeting with his employees, whatever. But it's this Monday morning meeting which kind of like determines what's gonna happen, and so on and so on. And everybody's like, am I really already here? And really try to focus. So we can have a little nervousness about that. So he is thinking about that, about the boss and colleagues and numbers and decisions and all this kind of stuff. He's in his head. And his wife come to him, the wife, partner, whatever, comes to him and asks something completely ordinary, like, hey, would you like coffee or tea, or would you like to take it with you if you don't have time to drink it now? By the way, morning. She comes nicely, normally, as yesterday when it was Sunday, and she asked the same question, and he was nice, and he looked at her, and he replied, and now he barely hears her. He's just like already somewhere else. And she immediately starts thinking, doesn't he love me anymore? Did I do something wrong? What's happening in here? And this is causing a lot of misunderstanding between men and women. Now speaking about male and female. We also will speak a lot about that in Decoding, because I am absolutely convinced it is very important to understand this. However, females, we women, have a tendency to live in our relationships more. So, like, usually male energy is like, hey, I go to work, I think of this meeting, and he kind of shuts the rest of the world out, and he comes back to the rest of the world after the duty is done, the meeting is done, whatever work is done. Women not. So logically, in our female logic, we would start to ask, like, is it us? did we do something wrong? And we would not even believe it's definitely not us. It has nothing to do with us. It really is just trapped into something else, but we don't know. So in this, like, male and female minds function a little bit differently, and she keep that within her in a day. Like, he didn't treated me well in the morning, and why he did do that, and what should I do? Should I, maybe I'm sad now, or should I be a little bit more angry? And we go to our, what Tony Robbins calls, and Chloe Madanes call emotional homes, just because of this one little thing that happened in the morning, which has nothing to do with us really, but with him being in his mind, just worrying about the meeting. He doesn't know. And this, like, little fractions, little things, day by day, this is what breaks even what the great relationship is. If something is not happened, but we will talk in the end about, like, what can we do about that, because he doesn't notice, she keeps it inside. They meet then in the evening. He already forgot about it because he didn't give any thought to it in the first place anyway, and she is like still having it, but maybe pretends it's okay, or maybe she punishes him a little bit, or maybe she comes and asks, or maybe she just, like, now it's all okay, let's just overcome it, and they will forget it, they'll continue, and now he's nice to her because they went fine, then she thinks, like, oh, everything is okay, I'm relieved, but it's not solved. The seed of that started in the morning because of something completely else, it's still there. And day after day after day after day after day, it counts. It doesn't mean a thing in a day or two, but in 365 days, or another 1,000 days, oh, it does count. Gentlemen, I'm just telling you, be careful of that. Okay, the ladies, let us have a look at a woman. Again, the same scenario. It's Monday morning, and she also has a meetings. She also, needs to operate well. She needs to be ready, to give her best. And she opens her phone because she wants to check the messages before she goes to the meetings, offices, and, like, automatically, how it happens, her finger just goes there where, let's say, Instagram or Facebook or whatever social network is. It happens like that. Have you noticed, like, how automatic it is? Like, your hand takes the phone and it just, like, goes somewhere. Mine, for example, goes to WhatsApp, like, automatically. I need to control my thumb not to go there. So where does your go? So hers go to Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and she opens, and then she sees that picture of this woman, random woman she knows a little bit, with that man smiling on the beach. And she's like, that's not me. And it's not the worst. The worst is that woman has, like, beautiful body in the swimsuit. And there's, like, picture, like, hey, not a bad 445, let's say, And this our girl is like, hey, and then the comparisons start. And again, there's nothing wrong with comparison very often, but sometimes it's really not useful. And for example, that's that. Then the seed of comparison, as Madonna was talking about, kind of, like, it starts to crawl in. And then she compares, like, hey, is my partner as good enough as hers? Is my body as beautifully shaped as hers? And if it isn't, and of course she knows immediately it isn't, so what should I do? And how do they look like? And immediately something that could have been a good day kind of, like, goes down, 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 with a stupid picture, because this picture got into her head, and her head started to produce certain feelings. And again, based on our emotional home, it could be sadness, it could be anger, it could be fear, it could be whatever it is, disappointment, it could be nervousness, it could be helplessness, it could be depression, anxiety, whatever we're used to feel. And then if she has a partner and he is there and he tells her something, it's just not there. She's like, yeah, okay, fine, but she already is out. Very similar to our first scenario. But okay, men usually don't make much of it, because he himself probably is already in his head out anyway. But what if she's single? Let's talk about this, because that's fascinating. Let's say she's single, and then she starts to feel like, not that great. And then she goes out of the door, and then there's that neighbor. She actually likes that neighbor, and he is there, and he's just, like, there. He's opening the door for her. And normally, if she was, like, she woke up, like, more brighter, open mind, like, smile because something nicer happened, she would just look at him, straight into the eye, and maybe exchange a few, nice, polite, little spiced words. And I mean, very little. Don't get into the idea of something no, just like something really nice, maybe a little inviting, a little open, because you would like to know him a little better. They are neighbors after all, right? And who knows where that could lead. But it doesn't happen this morning because her head shut down those emotions and the heart of openness. She's not open, she's like inside. And once she's inside of her, kind of like the closing, then she doesn't give off then she does give that relationship signal. And this is something which I'm sorry. Yeah. So she gives out this relationship signal. Relationship signal is a term which I developed, how to say? Well, simply I'm using that term, describing how this set of the feelings and the moods and the ideas and everything that we have right now kind of like goes out to us and materializes for the world, kind of like it shines out of our heart, and it gives the signal to people around us about like how we feel, what we are, if we are open to approach or not, and so on. And mostly men read those signals very well, and that handsome neighbor just like sees that signal. Now it's close tonight. Now nothing, like this morning, no, I'm not approaching. So basically she gives the signal, no, I'm close, just don't approach. He doesn't. And then she goes thinking in her head, like, why he doesn't do that? Why there are not men that take first step anymore? Why they are not there? And there are no men? And how can I choose from someone when there is no one? And she goes on in this thought in her head. So even more chances on her way to the work she has to actually encounter some female-male exchange. She just doesn't. So actually, her mind is closed, her eyes are blind to potential men around her. And ladies, there are men, like half of the world. Half of the world, the population are men. So we cannot say they are not there, they are there. We just maybe don't see them exactly from this reason. Then she comes to work, she goes to the meeting, she does, everything perfectly because she's great and then skilled and reasonable, and she has a practice, and she she's like really can do the best. She's loyal and she's reliable and she can take the workload, and she does, and she's then a little bit more satisfied, and then the mood rises a little bit, and then she goes to the colleague and tells her like, hey, why there are not normal men around us anymore? Why? Because we are shutting that all down by our own seeds of emotions, seeds in mind, which to create the emotions, and these emotions creates us closing. But imagine completely different scenario. I will run very fast through that. Imagine that she wakes up, and imagine that she's single, and imagine that she gets like a great message, like something beautiful happened. Maybe the boss writes her, hey, Susie, this report you did for me was amazing. Or she is the boss, and she, receives the report with the numbers, and she says like the sales kind of like reached over the thresholds that they had, like like something really nice, really good. Or friends sent her some message, like, or she sees herself in this bikini, and she says to herself like, hey, I look really good, fine. And then with this smile, with this feeling well, then she goes out, and then the neighbor goes, and he lets he opens the door for her, and she passes through, and she just like looks at him, smiles at him, and tells something nice. And what about like, hey, what do you do tonight? I'll come back, maybe we could just talk a little bit about this, I don't know, stair renovation, whatever happened inside of the house. And he's like, yeah, why not? And then she continues, and this go on and on and on. So what do you think that builds better, great relationship? When we let that seed come to our minds, and let that seed create the feelings which actually close us down toward other human beings, does that really create great relationship? Or the great relationships are created when we actually see that seed which comes to our mind. First it's mind, then feelings in the body, but it happens as if at the same time, but it has the sequence. But still, what if we just like see that seed, and we see it for what it is, and we don't let it create the emotions, or maybe it does create the emotions, but we do not let those emotions actually close us down towards the other human beings, either close ones or a little more distant one. What do you think? So this is exactly what it is about. So what is this practice which I'm offering you? If I go back to what Madonna said, and I will quote it one more time. The greatest thing in the world is to be able to stop yourself before that happens, but it does require constant vigilance. So please, the thing for you to do today is just watch. Just watch this. Just have in your mind this Madonna and constant vigilance and great relationships, and just catch yourself, just watch yourself a little bit more today, and see how the external environment is giving you the information, really, how those information influence your moods, your emotions, and how do you behave then based on these moods or emotions that you feel. Just watch that, because if we start there, this is the base. This is something that we can that can help us to get to know us first. And this is what, of course, also give great information to your therapist or person you work with. For example, if the ladies come to me, to my mentoring program, relationship, one of the first thing I ask them is actually to track what you feel. Track what you feel, and then track what makes you feel this way. Kind of like, what is the key element which actually helps you or brings you to this state of feeling, either on the level of the mood or really deeper emotions. And this is where the change starts. The change always starts with actually knowing, seeing. So this is what I offer you today. And I will end it there, because of course I could continue for like hours and the days to develop this into a huge concept, but it isn't. So if you want to know more about who is actually talking this, go to my LinkedIn profile. There you will find more details. True is, I'm just like kind of updating it a little bit. And also stay in this channel and just subscribe to this channel. Yeah, it's true. On my channel, you will find also videos in the Slovak language, and they will be kind of like mixed with this one, which are in English, but I think that you can find them easily. But also each of the episode will be listed on the LinkedIn. So if you just follow in LinkedIn, you will just be receiving everything. But also, of course, here in YouTube, it will be really great. Tell me in the comment, what did you take from today Decoded? I will be very happy. And if you have any other questions, I will be glad to decode them. No, to answer, actually. So the closing thoughts for today. I gave you the practice for today. Watch, observe, become aware, and then let me know what you noticed in the comments. And this was Decoded by LWK. Because great relationships aren't luck, they are skill, and skill is learnable. That's what we are doing here. All right, so thank you and have a beautiful day.